In today's video, we are going grocery shopping here in Japan. We're going to take you on a tour of our favorite supermarket here in Japan, AVE. The best part about this supermarket is that we can bike here. Some hand sanitizer. First things first.
Put the baby in. First thing that you notice is that the shopping carts here are a lot different than we're used to in the States. They don't have like a big basket, and I guess I should even say in Germany too. They'll have two sections where you can put the littler baskets, and you put all of your stuff in there, and we'll show you at the checkout. They have a really good system down where you take your baskets of stuff, they check it out, and then you take that to another area. So the line moves really quick during checkout.
You want to get in? Get in.
Can we get in?
Nope. Obviously you're seeing that the infant seats here are different as well. These ones are like the same seat structure, just kind of in the middle, which I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it makes it hard to steer because their feet and body are like right in front of you and like by your knees, and so that's kind of hard. There is another design that I've seen that's kind of like a reclined seat, and then you like pull the middle strap and it just kind of tightens it against their waist. Those are the two different designs that I've seen so far in the Japanese supermarkets. I have yet to see one that fits two kids at the same time, so that becomes difficult for me if I'm doing it by myself. That is tricky.
Yeah.
Bathroom, banana. This is a large produce section, honestly. There's a lot of packaged food, so you'll see they use a lot of plastic for their produce. Even the bananas are covered. It's kind of interesting of what things are and which things aren't wrapped in plastic, because in some supermarkets I see like the bell peppers individually wrapped in plastic, but here at this supermarket they're not. There's a wide variety of produce. We're trying to learn more about them. We don't even know what some of them are, we're not gonna lie. So it's so fun to like see what's available here and what's offered. There's a lot of mushrooms, a ton of different varieties. There's a lot of melons. Watermelon especially is super expensive here, we've noticed, and they love seasonal produce. So there's definitely a season for melons, and you notice that. There's a season for edamame, you notice that. Same with strawberries. We've loved that because that was from like once we came to even now it's like dying out a bit. It's just so fun for us to see the different produce options here, and they're all honestly at a very affordable price. However, I do have to say that they have like premier produce is what I'm gonna call it, where sometimes they'll have like one strawberry, literally one strawberry, packaged all nice and sometimes even in like a plastic box, highlighting it, and it is an expensive strawberry. I don't know if it's just a specific variety, I assume it is. They're pricey. Once we were here in the produce section, we walk over to the seafood section, and this is actually one of our favorite parts about this supermarket. This is what makes living here in Japan so freaking awesome, is that they have fresh seafood and there's so much variety. It's just something that's so new to Tanner and us, coming from the desert in Utah and living in Bavaria, where we were not by the ocean in Germany.
And over here in this little corner is an entire section devoted to tomatoes. So we're talking like little cherry tomatoes, we're talking bigger ones, some that are still on the vine, and it's like this entire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different little tables and side tables just for tomatoes.
There's a lot of eggplant here, and I also look around and there's just so much green, which I love. There is literally so many leafy green things.
Good.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing like this right here. Got me seeing things crystal clear. So high I can fly them all. It's gonna lift me up. There's a fire underneath my feet. Got me rolling like a river deep. Let it flow, cause I know that my soul's gonna lift me up. Got a good thing coming, and it's all I need. Everything I wanted is in front of me. Stuck it up in a doubt.
Wasn't that such a cool seafood section? There's a wide variety of like fresh, frozen, packaged frozens. I don't know what this one woman was searching for, but she kept digging in the frozen salmon for like the perfect salmon fillet. I don't know, because they all looked amazing to me. That's one thing that I've noticed a lot of the locals here eat is salmon. That seems to be the fish that has the most here in the supermarkets. I think I said that correctly. There's more salmon than other fish that I see in the supermarkets. And I'm not complaining because that's my choice of fish.
And noodles. No.
I honestly don't know what these are.
And we don't know what this is. And we don't know what this is. So
There's
if we
just a
try
lot.
it, and then we will know what it is.
Yep, we're trying a lot of new things, huh?
Yeah.
Sometimes we try and use Google Translate. A lot of the time actually,
Yeah.
huh? Or our super cool translation
have
device.
this.
And sometimes I just feel like it doesn't translate correctly because it will be some really weird thing and it doesn't make sense at all. Sesame oil. Sesame oil and then maybe like a soy sauce.
It can be a lot with little kids trying to do these videos, but we're trying to make it work, and sometimes that means separating and letting ourselves get a minute, but also have them explore. And while we were exploring, there is a lot to see. And I've been in several supermarkets in Japan over the last few months, but there are still new things that I'm finding every single time. Like right now I just saw a little package that said Cold Stone ice cream on it, and I was very confused. I think it's like a topping. But right here next to the dressings area, there's a ton of miso, like pre-made miso and stuff, and I thought that was really cool.
That's what it is? I did not know that was miso.
As I was saying, next to all of this, there is a section where you can get the very famous, very highly sought after sauce for the yakiniku. So yakiniku sauce is the sauce that is used at Japanese barbecue places. You'll find it, and it has a very delicious flavor where you can grill your meat and you can dip it in, and it just is so good. We have some at home because we love it so much.
One thing to mention here in the supermarkets is there's a lot of different variety, brands. I feel like you can get decision fatigue very easy here in the Japanese stores. At least I personally do.
Now, after you leave the seafood section, you make it to the beef, pork, and chicken area, and there's quite an extensive selection there. There are both long rows on each side, one for pork, one for beef, and chicken at the end. And they do really love their meat here in Japan. And I know that we had some comments that say that was like not really a thing of the past, and I probably believe that. I think that they probably didn't eat as much meat as they do now. But every time that we've gone to a Japanese steakhouse, there has been so many different selections of meat, especially when we're trying to find that like Kobe beef or like the really marbled, really well marbled beef that is very, very delicious. And for anyone who has lived or traveled in Japan, they know that there are so many places where you can try some delicious, high quality meat. We've had several people tell us that while they've lived here in Japan, the beef was the best. Like the steak and the beef all together was the best beef that they've ever tried in their entire lives. And we would have to say that there are some really delicious cuts that we've had, and it's going to be fun to explore and try some different ones as we go to different parts of Japan. And one final thing I have to say about the selection of meat here is that it's so interesting, still a little weird to me, that they have beef tongue. And that's something that we've actually tried a few times at the Japanese barbecues, and it has been a fun new thing to try. Honestly, tastes pretty good. So you should definitely give it a try if you're coming to Japan. Just on the other side of the meat selection, there is a few selections of gyoza or dumplings, which we really love. So it's fun if you wanted to take some home, you could pan fry them, cook them at home. And they even have like the little papers pre-made, or the little wrapping dough. And so you could like fill it with whatever you decided to and make it that way. One thing that I did want to mention, that over by the meat section, there's actually a really fun section of pre-made foods, and they can get pretty interesting. Many times we look and try to get ones that have like rice and fish, but that's usually when we're like only on the go, or if we know that like we're gonna be not home for a while, so we'll get something for the girls. And it's just really fun to see the different varieties of foods that they have there. They have like tonkatsu, like fried pork, they have fried chicken, they have, like I said, fish and seafood, But they also have lots of different noodle dishes. They have fresh sashimi sets like made. And what we have found out is that at the end of the day, or especially like today, the end of the week before the weekend, is that a lot of them go on sale. And so the Japanese come here, especially in the evening, and they try to buy them like at an even higher discount. And so it was very sparse pickings today, but normally it is like full of different variety of like pre-made foods, and they're actually quite nice. Kind of sticking to the outside of the store here in the refrigerated section, I've stopped by the eggs, where they actually are really cheap and they taste delicious here. And one thing that is different than the States, they only sell them in packages of 10, but that was common in Germany as well. And they also sell quail eggs too. So when we left Europe, we knew we were going to miss two things terribly. First was obvious, bread, and I'm about to go to that section here next, but the next one was going to be the dairy, because there are not a lot of dairy farms here in Japan, and most of them, a lot of the sources here, like the yogurt and the cheese and the milk that I've been seeing, a lot of them come from Hokkaido, which, don't get me wrong, we've had some amazing ice cream that came from Hokkaido milk, and we are like huge fans. It is so delicious. But focus of today, I'll have to say that the most products that they have like for dairy would probably have to be yogurt, whether it's drinkable yogurt or like the thicker yogurt that we're usually used to when you have with like granola and something like that. I will say it is not the same, and it's not really our favorite. We actually go onto the US base here and we buy our yogurt there because we like the flavors better. It's not as sweet. That's one thing that we have to say, is the yogurt is sweeter than we like it here. So that's why we go on the base to get that. But they do have a lot of good varieties of cheese here as well. Milk, on the other hand, is extremely different, especially compared to the US. They don't have like the big gallon jugs of it here. They just have like 1 liter cartons that you can buy, and this is pretty much the row behind me. That's pretty much the selection of milk that they have. Here it is, everyone. And a double soft 3 whole slice is $1.75. I'm not saying that there's not any bread that probably have some potential, but for the most part, it is not the same. There have been some breads that have been okay, some of like the bakeries out in town, or even like the bakeries here. They do have some that like are okay, but nothing that compares. So it's really fun to like come here and look at the different like sweets that they have. There are so many that we don't even try, but there's a lot of rice-based snacks here and red bean paste. One of them that is extremely interesting is coming here and seeing this in a non-refrigerated section. A hamburger, everybody, and it gets better. It gets better. Wait. So yep, you're seeing it right here. A hot dog. Yep, that's a sausage, right in the middle, just out in the open. And we're definitely gonna have to try this at some point. Those are noodles on bread. This is a noodle hot dog bun sandwich. I can't imagine this being very delicious. But it is a thing. More hamburger, cheeseburger, so many different ones. It's crazy. And this section here is all ramen. Tons and tons of selections of different types of ramen, pre-made, and just like bulk noodles that you can have and then add your own sauces and stuff. That's one thing that we actually really have come to love here, is that ramen is so much more than like the typical top ramen or like the cup of noodles that we've grown up with. Coming here, there are so many different varieties where you can try so many different flavors, and it's kind of been fun. Our preference for sure is definitely going into like a sit-down place where you can get ramen. Today we actually went to one place that had some delicious ramen with like fried chicken, and I can't even remember what else it was, but it was so good. We just love how rich and like savory the flavors are, and it's just delicious. And then right on the other side of the ramen is there are so many different like cases of rice. I just saw about 10 people come over here, and I'm smiling because this is natto, and natto is fermented soybean, and from what we've heard, it is quite an acquired taste. Most people don't eat it unless they grew up eating it, but the people who do eat it and don't like it, they do it for the health benefits. What I'm trying to say is that natto has apparently some really great health benefits, and I've asked a few people like at work who are Japanese, and they said, I only eat natto because I grew up with it and for the health benefits. They said, honestly, I only eat it for the health benefits. So it's right here next to the tofu section. There's like fresh tofu here, tons of it, and then there's also fried tofu. Now, walking through the frozen section here, I'm seeing tons of frozen meats, but I'm also seeing like frozen french fries, hash browns, and hilariously enough, American dogs or corn dogs. And then right next to them is actually takoyaki, which is fried octopus balls. So it's like bits of octopus that they put in a batter and they fry them. but they're not quite cooked all the way through in the middle. So there's lots of fun, different varieties of foods here. Of course, they love convenience just as much as the Americans do, and there are a ton of very convenient foods to find here in the freezer sections. Moving away from like the refrigerated section and the freezer section, we made it to the middle aisles finally, where there are typically a lot of the sweets, the packaged foods, and like shelf-stable foods. And the first one that I came across is actually a mixture between like tons of rice crackers and then other like potato treats and stuff like that. So like for example, this one here is like sprinkled with like herbs and stuff, and this one over here does look like a little bit of a darker brown one. They have so many different kinds, it's really hard to know which ones you should try. Maybe some of these like for like little kid snacks and stuff, but there are so many different kinds of different rice snacks that you try. Right across from the rice crackers, there's actually a ton of like other preserved foods here. One of them that sticks out to me is beef jerky. I actually haven't noticed that as much, but then on the side of here, there are some other fun ones. There are dried fish, like with nuts. There are dried fish just in general, tons of different little cuts of them. Surume somen, I don't even know what half of these are honestly, but it's just fun to see the different types of like non-perishable snacks that you might like take hiking or like on a picnic. They have cheese. It's like ultra processed cheese or processed cheese. Just fun to see like the different kinds of snacks that you have here, and even having been through several times, I'm still learning just like so many different kinds of things here to see. One thing to mention in Japan is that people love green tea and they love matcha, and that's been apparent like all over Japan, from like matcha crepes to like matcha Kit Kats. There's actually quite a big selection of matcha flavored foods, so it's yeah, like I said, it's not surprised to see that there. And then also just on this other end here, tons of like seaweed, all perfectly packaged up. Next, over in the baking section, there's really not a whole lot here. Like flour is I think a little bit harder to come by just because people don't bake breads as often as we do in Europe and in the States, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a selection of things to use during baking. Like I'm looking in, I'm seeing chocolate chips, I'm seeing coconut flakes, I'm seeing like nuts. They have a bigger section of nuts in general, they do like those, but like a lot of the packages that I'm seeing right here are like for pre-made packages of Japanese fluffy pancakes or okonomiyaki, so it's not like a really big like wheat grain flour selection here. It's more of like rice flours as well. A bit of a different change for us, for sure. What did you find, Willa? Is that a gummy egg?
I actually don't know if that's a gummy or not. It's kind of like hard, but there's some dumpling gummies. I also love the freezer ice cream sections here because they have like individually wrapped popsicles and ice cream treats that you can buy and then have when you go out. So that's really cool. Coming from the States, I feel like I didn't really see individually wrapped ones. I feel like everything was kind of in bulk. You buy a package and it comes with 4 or 8 or whatever. But here you can buy them individually wrapped, and that is really nice for a hot summer day. We can get lost here at the supermarket. We've already spent a couple hours here, and it's not the first time. When we first moved here, it was so much fun for me to explore the supermarkets. It is just so fun for me to walk around. I'm always at awe of the new things I'm finding. They have like a lot of seasonal or like pop-up items that are really fun to discover and explore. Just today I saw matcha cookies that were like dipped in chocolate, and the container that had all of them was basically out, so people are loving them. And I just feel like when you see a product here that you like, you want to get it and try it because you don't know if you'll see it again. It's also been so fun to notice brands that we saw in Europe, some of like the cheeses and some of the gummies. I saw some American brand, I think it was like Johnsonville sausages or hot dogs. Anyways, it's just fun to see like the things that we recognize, because most of it we don't, and most of it's new. So when we see that, I'm like, oh, like I know what that is, and it kind of gives me a little taste of home for both of those countries. Here now we're starting to kind of get the hang of things, know where things are within a supermarket, which is fun, and just taste our way through a lot of these new products.
お支払い金額を確認し、お金を入れてください。よろしければ画面の終わりボタンをお釣りをお受け取りください。
I'm sure you figured this out by the time you've made it here to this video, but we definitely are not pros or experts in what some of these foods are. We're just here doing this tour and we wanted to take you with us. And we hope that you've enjoyed this video and also have found it really interesting. Drop down below in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts about it and answer any questions you may have. Thanks so much for being here. We appreciate the support. Be sure to hit that like button and the subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next video.